Hi, this is Robert, and I am the Recovery Guy. Welcome back. As most of you know, I am a happy, grateful, recovered alcoholic. And I hope you don't get tired of hearing me say this. I hope it inspires you to become one as well. As we walk through the 12 steps today, in this segment we're going to discuss step 2. Step 2 is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And for those of you wondering, I'm pulling this out of the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. We also make this available on our website under our resources. So came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Once we move from step 1, sometimes we're encouraged, but most of the time we're battered, we're beaten down, and we're bruised because we had to admit that we were powerless over King Alcohol and that our life had become unmanageable. We had to look at the totality of our life with respect to drinking and using and come to the decision that we were a wreck. That's hard to do, but once we get there, we need to begin to have some hope. And that's one of the things that step 2 does for us. We came to believe. Do you know, when you're out there, like so many of us are out there, we've lost all belief. We've lost all hope. We've all lost all of the idea, of the notion that something in our life is going to change. We are of the hopeless variety, as Bill says. So as we go on and look into step 2 a little bit deeper, it says, what can we believe in? AA does not demand belief. 12 steps are only suggestions. The importance of an open mind and a variety of ways to faith. Some have substituted AA for their higher power. The plight of the disillusioned. Defiance is an outstanding characteristic of alcoholics. It says here that step 2 is a rallying point to sanity. And then from there we find a right relation to God. There's so many ideas and so many thoughts and so many things in this 12 and 12. If you do not use this 12 and 12 as your guideline to your steps of recovery, you ought to. We must have a restoration to sanity. You know the definition, I'm sure you've heard it before, a definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And this is where we have to have an open mind. We have to be open-minded to believe that there is a power greater than ourselves and that there are ways for us to be restored to sanity. And again, first of all, as it says in the 12 and 12, Alcoholics Anonymous does not demand that you believe anything. All of its 12 steps are suggestions. Second, to get sober and to stay sober, you don't have to swallow all of step 2 right now. And that's really the beauty of the steps. As I had mentioned in my segment on step 1, where we admit we are powerless over alcohol, that our life had become unmanageable, and in the words again of my friend Pete the Greek, step 1 is the only step that we must do to perfection. Do not ever make a mistake in step 1. Do not ever come to believe that you have some power over alcohol, that you can just have one, that there is some degree of manageability in your life with respect to drinking, because we will relapse the minute we begin to think that and slide down that slippery slope. But step 2 is interesting because we're coming out of the fog of the alcoholism and drug addiction, and we're beginning to see that there's another way to live, that we came to believe. And again, because our foundational beliefs have all been destroyed by now, or should be, coming to believe in something else, that there is a restoration, that there is a way out for us, should be a breath of fresh air. And hopefully by now, as you're entering into working the steps and beginning to incorporate them into your daily life, that you're beginning to work with a sponsor, that you're beginning to take his or her life in their own personal recovery, that you are beginning to see that there is a way out, that coming to believe that a power greater than yourself can restore you to sanity. Doesn't say it will, because that will part, that's really up to us. What we're saying here is that it can happen if we have an open mind and we become willing. It says here on page 27 of the 12 and 12, I can't say upon what occasion or upon what day I came to believe in a power greater than myself, but I certainly have to believe now. It says to acquire it, I had only to stop fighting and to practice the rest of AA's program as enthusiastically as I could. And that's really important. We need to cease fighting everything and everyone. We need to be so thoroughly convinced that we are defeated, that our life had become so unmanageable. Step 2 isn't an action step. We need to just merely be open-minded. And you know what? It talks about being enthusiastic. We need to get excited. And hopefully you're getting excited for the first time, because to take step 2 is to walk into that arena where hope begins. That we can say, maybe this can happen to me. Maybe if I get restored to sanity, if I start making better decisions, maybe some of the things in my life that are so important to me will begin to materialize. Maybe I'll begin to feel better about who I am, about who you are, and my relationship with the world, certainly to a higher power. You know, developing a sense of believing that a higher power could change me from the inside out is foundational to recovery. So we come to, and we come to believe. It doesn't take long for us to look out to nature to see that there is a greater force that's out there. Whether you're comfortable with calling that force God, or where you find that higher power, again, in the 12 and 12 it talks about the group, that the AA meeting itself can be your higher power. There's nothing wrong with that. What we're just saying is, have an open mind, be reasonable, begin to think that there's something, there's someone, there's some power out there that can take you from the despair and the insanity where you're at prior to coming in and move you to an area of believing that there's hope, that you can believe that you can be restored to sanity. You know, to be restored means at one point in your life you must have been sane. For me, I was sane probably when I was 13 or 14. I began to walk into those arenas of insanity when I began to believe that alcohol and drugs really did make my life, my circumstance, my situation better than it was. But you know, it didn't. And that's why I had to come and realize step 1. But once I move out of step 1, step 2 is critical, because it means that there can be hope, that you can be restored. We come to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We begin to develop an open mind. We begin to develop a relationship where we're opening up our areas of trust. Whether that trust is in a higher power, such as God, or whether that higher power is your sponsor, or whether that higher power is your group or your meeting as a whole, is not important. What's important is that you come to believe that a power greater than yourself can restore you to sanity. My name is Robert. I'm a happy, grateful, recovered alcoholic. I am the recovery guy. Thank you for joining us today.